So let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, Dave, Frank from Cleveland. Been a minute, brother. Referring to a caller yesterday about Kevin Stefanski and the scripted plays, has this guy ever heard of Bill Walsh? I mean, that's mind-boggling. Number two, he's talking about Myles Garrett. The guy battles 2 to 3 players every down. Where does he think he's going to get all this superhuman strength in the second half of the season? Of course he's going to get worn down a little, but he still comes out and produces. And number three, can you tell me a little bit about Matt Landers, the kid from Arkansas or somewhere? And number four, prayers for Bernie, man. God bless him, man. He brought life to Cleveland back in the day. He deserves the prayers. Thank you, Dave, for taking my call. You be safe, you and the family. Love you, brother.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Yeah, we've heard Bernie Kosar may need a liver transplant and dealing with Parkinson's, so absolutely wishing him best. Somebody that I got to know covering him, and also when he was with the ownership group when the Browns came back. Jeff, tell us a little bit about Landers. There was a guy that I'll explain to you. Scripted plays, team that scores first in the NFL wins 70% of the time. We had a caller that was like, scripted plays isn't going to win you anything. Arguing with stats right there. So the scripted plays, if you can score and get the lead, 70% of the time you win. Landers, I know you're familiar with him.
Yeah, but one other point here, though, just as far as the scripted plays. No Major League Baseball manager says, as the starting pitcher takes the hill, says, okay, guys, here's the batting order. There's a reason this is done. You look at this is why it's done. You put in your research. And yes, you know what? When you're not good, scripted plays looks bad. When you are good, scripted plays look good. Matt Landers was interesting and really kind of caught the eye. It was really just a vertical threat. He went down to Arkansas for his last year of college ball. It was like 40 receptions, 800 yards. Those numbers look pretty good. But he went to the combine, and at his size, and big, long, almost kind of looks like an NBA 3, ran 4.34. And then all of a sudden, everybody kind of like, oh, all right, well, who's this guy here? And with Landers, it's always tough. When you're a late round pick, and the NFL is just saturated with such good receivers nowadays. The receiving play in the NFL, I mean, if you wanted to probably take it back 10 to 15 years, it is probably almost 100% better than it was. Any guy on any team, you look at a team like the Packers, and they've just been basically taking guys second, third, fourth round. People don't not want to stop talking about how good that Packers wide receiver room is. It is such a position that has gotten so much better over the years. A guy like Landers, problem is when you are the size that he is, it doesn't really necessarily set you up for a lot of success. Like what you do with the Rams, he would have a really difficult time being a part of that receiving unit. The short, quick routes, and being able to have such great body control and be able to stop on a dime. It's hard to do when you're 6'4" and change. But Landers is a big vertical threat, and that is one thing where some people who have been asking about him over the last couple of weeks, they got to see some of this in OTAs. They got to see, he was getting vertical on a consistent basis. He's a nice guy to have around. The Browns, look, it is a numbers game already. They're probably 6 deep, pretty much in 10 before they even begin training camp. But look, you keep trying to turn people's eyes, and maybe he gets himself to a practice squad, or if he does get cut, there's always injuries. There's always teams that are maybe one receiver short. And nowadays the way the wide receiver position, not everybody has that 6'4" guy. He is different from that mold because everybody's now looking for the 5'10", 5'11", the 6'1" guys, the guys who are quicker. Get open, can create more separation within space, can do more with the ball in their hands after the catch. So those guys are becoming more the norm, but everybody would still kind of like to have a 6'4" deep vertical threat. Landers is a guy that's just got to keep shopping. He's going to get his opportunity somewhere. I'm not necessarily sure it's going to be Cleveland, but you're 6'4", you run a 4.3, you can get open consistently deep. Somebody's going to find you, and somebody's going to get an opportunity at some point.
Yeah, well, if nobody else wants them, practice squad is a great place because you can develop route running skills and those kind of things that would play in addition to the 6'4" and that speed.